It is Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. We're reacting to Seattle's 41-23 loss to the San Francisco 49ers as their season is officially complete. And the Seahawks went into the halftime break with a lead as they were up. But the second half, this team just couldn't keep up with San Francisco and how explosive they were. And the score kind of doesn't tell the whole story here. The Seahawks were in this football game, but ultimately San Francisco was just too much. Christian McCaffrey was terrific on the ground with 119 yards. Tebow Samuel was great receiving-wise with 133 yards and a touchdown. The Seahawks did all they could, but ultimately San Francisco was too much. Kenneth Walker had 63 yards on the ground and a touchdown score, but his run game kind of went away in the second half. DK Metcalf laid it all out in the line. He had 136 yards and 2 touchdowns. Tyler Lockett and Kate Johnson each had 39 yards receiving-wise. Geno Smith got off to a hot start in that first half, but things kind of fell apart here in that second half for Geno Smith on that front as he ended the night with 2 touchdowns and 1 interception with 253 yards. The Seahawks lose. Their season is over. The Niners move on. What's your one-word reaction to the Seahawks' performance against the San Francisco 49ers? I would say this. The Seahawks did not go down without a fight. They were swinging. They were laying everything out on the line tonight, but things just didn't go their way. They were overmatched. Leading at the halftime break, all that was a big deal. I would say my word was my one word. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to do 2 words here. Moving on. Because they overachieved just to get to this point. They competed. They play hard. I don't see how you can be disappointed with the Seahawks team after tonight. Let me know. You might get an ad break. If so, take advantage of it. Give me your one word in the comments section. James Miller says, draft Young, a center, and some defense. So he's referring to Bryce Young, the quarterback out of Alabama. I don't know if Bryce Young is going to be available when the Seahawks pick at 5. I would doubt he's available there. But if you're the Seahawks, I think you'll look at this team. If they do draft a quarterback, Geno is going to be your starting quarterback next year, and that guy, whether it be a Bryce Young, a C.J. Stroud, a Will Levis, whoever it may be, is going to sit behind Geno Smith next year. But you do need a center. You do need some defense. James, I get all of that. The Seahawks need to take care of all of those things for sure, but we'll see ultimately how it all plays out. 2 first-round picks and 4 picks in the top 2 rounds certainly helps. The Boskin says, do the Hawks make any coaching moves this offseason? I didn't like what I saw from Clint Hurt this season as defensive coordinator. Granted, the personnel was somewhat limited of some sorts, especially today. This was the first time you really got exposed of not having Jordan Brooks available with the injury that he suffered a few weeks ago when these teams last met and his season ended. But I'll say this, I would be surprised if they make any big coaching changes. Shane Waldron proved his worth as offensive coordinator. He did a really good job. I think for the most part this staff is going to stay in place unless somebody moves on from somewhere. Sean Desai interviewed for the Cleveland Browns defensive coordinator position. He could be on the move, so we'll see. But for the most part, I think things kind of stay the same. Yo-Yo the Pope Kid says, what position do we need for the 2023 NFL Draft? Still like your jersey, and it's okay if we lose. It's a rebuilding year. Go 12s. Thank you, Yo-Yo. This jersey courtesy of Christopher Bryson, who made this jersey happen this year and was one of the awesome 12s that represented this season. Yo-Yo, what position do the Seahawks need? Several positions. They need help at linebacker, need help on the defensive line, the offensive line, at guard and center in particular. Those are the big things for Seattle. But they're not far off. They're still, you look at this roster, significant progress. This was a step in the right direction. Let's see where they go from there. How would you rate the Seahawks' performance against San Francisco? They were overmatched. They lost to a better team. They came in with a good game plan, but there's only so much you can do. Rate it for me in the comments section. Scale it 1 through 100. Let me know in the comment section below how you'd scale Seattle's performance. We're going to cover this team. This is a huge offseason for the Seahawks, one of the most important in the franchise's history, as they'll have 4 picks in the top 2 rounds. You try to build upon this next year and build the foundation of this franchise for years to come. We're going to be covering it here each and every day on the channel with daily news and rumors, also tracking free agency, trades, the draft. We will also do our live shows every Wednesday as well. This is the place to be. If you love your Seattle Seahawks, you need to subscribe to the channel right now here on Seahawks Today. Gavin checks in. Good season. Being Geno back, trade, back from 5, grab a receiver and a linebacker in the first round, draft a center out of Minnesota in the second round. I don't see Seattle trading back unless there's an offer they simply can't refuse of some sorts. I think they're going to take advantage of having that number 5 pick from Denver. I'll be honest, and I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way. Nobody expected that Denver pick was going to be number 5 overall. You have to take advantage of having a top 5 pick. Okay? I think you're going to stay there. Maybe the second pick you trade back or something, but I don't see them stepping back. Grabbing receiver, I wouldn't be opposed to getting a receiver in this draft, but not early on. I would be surprised when you have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett if you grab you use a high pick on a receiver that's going to be your number 3 guy. But something to keep in mind. Thank you, Gavin. Beard says, what do you think is going to happen with Carroll this offseason? I think Pete Carroll is going to be back. He hasn't given us any indication that he'd be willing to step aside. We've heard rumors that maybe he and John Schneider aren't necessarily on the same page, but I would guess if I had to put a percentage chance on it, there would be a greater than 80% chance that Pete Carroll is back next year as the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, you think about this. You chose between Russell Wilson or Pete Carroll, and Pete knows that. I think Pete wants to be in this thing for the long haul, and he's earned the right to be back next year. AFX says, what was your favorite moment of the season? I'm a Browns fan here to support at least. You guys made the dance. Hey, exactly. It was a great ride. It was awesome to be a part of this and see this thing happen this year. My favorite moment of the season, the Rams game winning in overtime in the fashion they did. Jeffrey Cooperstein and I were here, and it was just unbelievable. It was like, wow. I mean, just the magic that was in the room of them finding a way to win that game, going to overtime, getting the job done. That was just awesome. I loved it. That was my favorite moment of the season. But thanks for being a Browns fan and supporting. Better luck to you guys next year. Jaden says, I don't think Anderson or Carter will be there at 5. Do you think Myles Murphy might be more pick? Yeah. Myles Murphy out of Clemson is going to be a star in the National Football League. And so you look at the priorities, okay? Ignoring Mel Kiper and his big board and all that. I look at it this way. Your top players in this next draft are going to be your Bryce Youngs, your C.J. Strouds, Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, and Myles Murphy. If you're picking at 5, one of those 5 is going to be available. If Anderson and Carter aren't there, Myles Murphy would be a great selection. I would love to see Seattle add Myles Murphy, and he'd be an instant impact player, be a huge benefit for the Seahawks offense as far as I'm concerned. Great season for Seattle, with all things considered, and what was supposed to be a rebuilding year, where this team made a lot of changes, had a young roster. How would you grade the 2022 season for Seattle? Let me know, A, B, C, D, or F, in the comment section below how you're feeling about how this season went. For me, I look at it, the Seahawks did get in their own way a couple times. There was some games that they should have won that they didn't win. But it was a huge step in the right direction. They made some good progress this year. I would give this team about a B for this year. It wasn't worth being any less than a B, but there was too many mistakes for it to be an A season. That's how I would grade the 2022 season. I'd give it a B. Let me know in the comments section how you're feeling about this year. Folks, it has been my honor to be with you all season long talking about your Seattle Seahawks here on the channel. We're going to continue to cover this team throughout the offseason. If you're not subscribed, you need to be. We'll have daily Seattle Seahawks news and rumors. We'll cover this team through free agency and trades, the NFL draft. We'll still do our live shows on Wednesdays. We got you covered. Subscribe now, youtube.com/Seahawks TV for the latest happenings on your favorite team. And we will see you next time right here on Seahawks Today. Thanks for joining.